Joining us now are ace reporter Christina Partsinevelos, shareholder Malcolm Ethridge, and star analyst Stacey Rasgon of Bernstein. It's good to have everybody with us. Stace, I'll begin with you. I want to know more than anything else what we need to know and pay attention to tonight.
Yeah, you bet. Look, I think people are already expecting a pretty strong quarter and guide. And I mean, Jensen at the GTC event a few weeks ago effectively said numbers next year look way too low. He talked about a $500 billion order trajectory, cumulative, like through 25 and 26, which if you parse it out is quite a bit higher where current numbers sit. So I think people are already expecting good numbers. I think it's more around like tone. Like the whole AI space has been fairly weak, like in recent weeks. People have been, bubble fears and, entities raising debt and all kinds of stuff that have had people worried. And I think what we're looking for, hopefully, is for Jensen to be able to come out and calm some of those fears and talk about some of the visibility, hopefully, that they do have as we go forward, and sustainability of demand and everything else. But if he can sort of calm things down a little bit and maybe give people a little bit more to grasp onto, I think that's mostly what we're looking for, because the numbers themselves, I think, should be pretty good. Yeah, exactly. That's why I didn't even ask you about the numbers, because people expect the numbers to be good. But Christina, I feel like that's dead on, right? We being the investor community that's felt a little off lately about this trade, needs Jensen Huang to hold our collective hands and say, no, it's not a bubble. Y'all can relax.
Today's interaction between Jensen Huang and Elon Musk on stage, the fact that they were able to laugh over the Elon Musk saying trillions and bajillions of dollars pretty much is emblematic of where we are in the market right now. The fact that they can just throw out these huge numbers and people don't seem to care. They just laugh about it. I think that is adding to the anxiety. Finally, we're questioning, where's this money coming from? How long is it going to take for us to actually see a return? And so for NVIDIA specifically, in terms of numbers, $64 billion, that's the buy side for Q4 revenue. That seems to be the consensus. So that number needs to be hit. Gross margins, there's concern about memory prices, other inputs that could potentially hurt margins, because remember, the company promised it would exit the year at 75%. So we'll be looking for those two particular. But then to Stacey's point, of course, demand sustainability. Where is OpenAI going to come into this? How are they going to finance the deal for OpenAI? How are the hyperscalers doing? What about sovereign AI? You talked about Saudi Arabia today. What's going on over there? And so these are factors that are definitely going to come up on the call.
Malcolm, what are you going to be watching more than anything else?
Yeah, I think you guys are putting it perfectly. We're not so worried about the previous quarter so much as we are going forward. I think that Jensen Huang is pretty much going to have to pull an Elon Musk-style rabbit out of the hat here and start talking about the next generation of where NVIDIA GPUs are going to be important, where he sees future demand coming from. He's already released breadcrumbs in the past about things like autonomous driving, robotics, things like that. And so I think, yes, the guidance is what's really going to drive this, where we've already heard from the hyperscalers just how much demand there is for today's generation of GPUs. We're really interested in hearing about the future now from Jensen Huang.
That's the thing, Stacey, and Christina mentions that perfectly, and she uses the words of the moment, I think, demand sustainability. The question, though, we know already that the CapEx ramp is in its early stages still. Yep. So we're not really going to be able to answer that question about demand sustainability today. We're not even going to be able to answer it tomorrow. So how do we deal with something that we're not going to have an answer to for some time?
Yeah, and I mean, that's always been the worry with this stock ever since it all started, a few years ago, was the numbers have gotten so big so quickly that people just worry that it just can't happen like that. And I think we've been proven wrong time and time again as we went along. As I look at it right now, the only ones that are really worried about the demand sustainability right now, or at least are the investors. The companies that are actually spending the money don't really seem that worried. And if you sort of look at where things are coming, worries about air pockets. It's in terms of the spending, it's clearly not this year. It certainly doesn't look like it's next year. And you start talking about OpenAI, they're ramping a ton. Their stuff doesn't even start to ramp until the end of 26. So it's probably not 2027 either in terms of the spending outlook. We'll see what the stocks do. I mean, they tend to anticipate things, but in terms of the overall spending environment and CapEx cycles and everything, I still think that we're early.